I'll make a motion that we approve the administration recommendation of the boards to approve the pre-levy resolution authorizing the assurance of remaining $6,670,000 of general obligation school bonds, series 2023A.
Okay. So. Did I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Very good.
That's just-
Any discussion on that? All right, Karen.
Chad,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
All right, we are going to move on to item D, the audit approval.
Good evening, board. This is the highlight of everyone's here.
Yes, it is.
We have on the line with us, and at your place settings, first of all, is our annual comprehensive financial report. This is the results of our audit. On the line with us is our principal auditor, Mia Fromelt. She is with Bonsack and Fromelt, and she will have a short presentation that Mr. Kirk will put up on screen here. It's also available to you in your board electronic packets. Mia, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay.
Mr. Girth will drive you as you speak, but the presentation is up.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for the opportunity to present the year-end audit tonight. I just have a few summary comments and I'm happy to take any questions. The first is on the first slide, just to summarize the audit. We did issue 3 deliverables. There's the annual comprehensive financial report that Kevin referred to. We also have a board communication letter and a control deficiency letter with some advisory level type comments. We performed the 3 audits that were required. The audit of the financial statements, the government auditing standards audit is over compliance with laws and regulations and internal controls. And then the federal single audit of significant federal programs. The new item this year to point out is there's a new accounting standard over leases. And so in the financial information, there are new footnotes for its notes 5, 6, and 16 that discuss the new accounting standard. And essentially what that does is require now leases to be shown as more similar to long-term debt when an organization enters into those lease agreements. And then also to record a capital asset for the equipment or the building that's being leased. The result of the new accounting standard meant that the 2021 equity needed to be restated by approximately 22,000. And in note 5 and 6, you'll see new capital assets for the leases of a building, which is the administrative building, and the lease for copier printer equipment. And that amounted to, for the end of fiscal year 22, amounted to about 318,000 of a lease obligation that was required to be recorded. So that is the new item this year. The next slide is a summary of the audit results from performing those 3 audits. First, for the financial statement audit, there's an unmodified opinion. So a clean opinion to provide tonight, which is always good news. Under the government auditing standards, we did have a finding over internal controls that was a material weakness. Due to the significant turnover in the business office this year, bank reconciliations were not being completed. And then there were unreconciled differences at year end. For compliance, there is a non-compliance comment. The amount that's required to be transferred to the debt sinking fund that's required in the revenue bond resolution was not made at the end of the year. And then we do have just a couple items in the regulatory reporting section, which is part 4 of the back of the report. None of those are significant. For the federal audit, this year, we audited the Education Stabilization Fund. So that's what we all refer to as ESSER. That would include GEAR, ESSER, any of the programs under the American Rescue Plan Act or CARES or CARISA. And I'm pleased to report there were no findings, no internal control matters, and no compliance findings. Next year, I can tell you that the child nutrition program will be required to be tested. So you'll have a report back on that program next year. So those are my summary comments, but are there any questions I can answer?
Nothing to you other than what's mentioned that raised any red flags?
In terms of red flags, no, the business office is operating pretty lean. I think that's what's happening as you see the results of that.
Did you pay her to say
I
that?
did not, no, I did not say that.
Just check it.
No, thank you though, Pam.
Are we still lean right now? Because it sounds like the reasons behind all of the weaknesses and everything were just like, sound like we're behind on getting some
So
accounting work done.
yeah, I'm not gonna be behind the bush on this one, but it was a challenging year. We had a pretty big turnover within a couple of different areas. We worked through some of these things. Our audit, the report date is March 27th. Normally it's in December. So it did kind of push us back a few months here with completing reconciliations, doing journal entries, things of that nature. But in the end, we still met the compliance when it comes to the March 31st deadline. And again, for our staff, I mean, I like to thank them publicly for that staff. Lisa Stewart's here today. She's the controller here, and she kind of heads now. She can still say new at this point, but I've told her now she can't say new anymore, but this is her first year with this audit. So we are working together. We've worked together through this audit, but as far as what we do in the business services department, it is what it is. We just had some key turnovers in our staff this year.
You think that played a part in it? Because I know we had, was that mid-year that we had that change?
It was the end of the fiscal year. It was August timeframe. So it's right when we ended our books and did our accruals and things of that nature. Yep. It's the life of the June 30 ending contract for business office staff, SBO
Just
specifically.
telling a little bit they can't leave in August.
Right, right.
Any other questions? Thank you. All right. Move to approve.
Thanks, Mia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We haven't made one yet. have we? Okay, I need a motion to approve the audit.
Motion to approve the audit.
Second. Okay, any other comments?
Just thank you
Aaron?
to the staff.
Huh?
Thank you to the staff.
Yes,
for-
thank you to the staff. Lisa specifically.
Yes.
Exactly, yes.
Yes. We're glad you feel comfortable enough to speak up. Yeah. Put him in his place.
Karen?
Whitney,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
All right, we're moving on to item E, the inclement weather days. Brett, do you want to make a motion?
Do I want to make a motion? Let me get to it here.
Okay.
A lot of anticipation right
I
now.
know, I'm
No, I'm just reading it to make.
yeah, I'm letting him get his feet on the ground first.
So. So it's. There's two things in here. And then accurate.
Originally, it's whatever you want to make the motion to be. Originally, you wanted us to make the professional learning day, the April 17th date, that's
Oh,
school day.
no,
So I'm just making sure you get to make the motion as you, and not necessarily, it's,
No, it wasn't me. I'm not gonna throw anybody under the bus.
I think it was me, but yeah.
yeah, so,
I just, we had the discussion about it. That's where we have discussions, if you remember.
yep,
Mhm.
yep. So I just thought I'd let you make the motion.
I think I
Well-
made the recommendation.
Yeah, no,
So how do you feel about the upcoming weather forecast if we need to make the professional development day a student day?
well, if someone wants to make the motion on what's here, that's fine. I'm not gonna make the motion.
I'll make it.
Okay.
I'd like to make the motion that we approve the following based on our March 9th, 2023 meeting. First part is to change the April 17th, 2023 Professional Development Day to a Student Attendance Day and move the Professional Development Day to May 30th, 2023. The second thing, to forgive the remaining missed instructional hours due to weather for students. The last thing is keeps the last day for students as May 26th, 2023, as shown on the district calendar.
Second,
So the way I read that, there's just, it's options in there. So
Correct.
what is the actual recommendation?
Well, that's
That
just
is
what he made the
recommendation.
motion to be. So
Those three
he's
things.
made the motion now that we make the professional learning development day.
Oh, that's why I was.
Instead of
hesitant to make
leaving
the
it
motion,
off.
'cause I thought administration made a recommendation. I wasn't understanding it, so I wanted to. So, okay, so it's still up for discussion.
Well, yeah,
Okay, that's what I was reading.
but he's made the motion now to approve it as a professional learning day.
And the other two things as well.
So we're moving the professional learning day with this recommendation,
Only if you approve it, yeah.
right? And then we're forgiving any of the Missing.
The other 2 days.
other 2 days.
because the 17th was originally a day off. But when we all discussed it and when we got really good input, it was, no one really knew that that was a day off anyway, so we can have the students come in that day. We'll have a little bit of a buffer, and then we can move the professional learning to May 30th, as that would work out for the admin and the teachers and the staff.
But now the forecast for the next 2 weeks is 60-degree weather.
Yeah,
So do we really need
gives us a
to,
buffer day.
do we really need to worry about snow days in the next few weeks?
I
I'm
can
feeling-
remember when it snowed.
If we
on-
approve this, we still have one more day.
we got 4 hours left still, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, so obviously, and I think it was just more of a discussion between Rick and I on that, so I was kind of surprised that this is what it was, but I mean, I guess it's whatever. I'm more comfortable with the weather after seeing the forecast, but you know,
I
A
think
lot of
we're-
mine based on what Dr. Latham said, that it was okay to keep, middle of April as a student days because the kids are in that routine, it's not a break that, they're still in learning mode versus maybe have to make up a day after Memorial Day and how that,
when was the last snow day?
our last one. We had 2 at one time and then the third one, I don't remember the day.
In February. We had 2 in December before the break,
Right.
which those are probably already made up. I mean, as far as time in the classroom, no.
That's part of what we had built in.
No, I know, but.
Yeah.
So they're saying teachers aren't caught up from December
I guess I took it as meaning those hours were made up and there's been.
No, I
extra
mean, as
hours
far as-
anywhere.
or are teachers behind in the classroom because of these days, I guess.
Oh,
is
no,
the-
I don't think so.
Okay,
Isn't the 17th a testing day? Or isn't that a week of testing? Is that what you said at the last meeting? Okay, so
So, no, I said,
that's something to think about.
What Lily said, 17th.
She said that she didn't even know it was a day off.
That wasn't me.
Yeah, she wasn't.
Miss Chair.
You want to do?
I mean, I always like a good day off, but
Find the testing starts that day or starts the next day or what's the,
State septic testing on April 10th. And so that week is high school, the week of the 17th is 6 through 8. And the week of the 24th is grade school.
so that would start them a day earlier? Is that how much are reading that then?
What we did is, we just let the day where they're at, and we just changed our practice day, so that our kids know where they're gonna test, so instead of having it that Friday. Counting on the kids to remember it for 3 days, and then bring it back Tuesday, starting testing. We leave Monday as a practice day if we have school. And then we have practice, and then we can test that week, but we're not gonna move our testing days regardless.
Gotcha.
And weren't we also worried about fog? It wasn't just snow. Somebody brought up like fog days and I don't know what's going on with the weather, but I know there's like a 40-degree change that happened this morning. So.
Okay, any other discussion?
Well, okay, so it's probably for Joel and Dr. Latham, will the staff get more out of a professional development day on the 17th or on the 26th?
It'll be the
30th.
30th.
Sorry, 30th.
Yes. I'm confident that we'll have a strong professional learning day, whether it's in April or whether it's in May. I know that sometimes you think about having them beginning of the year, but we were talking, if we get our testing data back, it gives us an opportunity to reflect on our goals for the year and set plans for the year. There's always a need for professional learning, so we would benefit from it.
But you'll get your testing back when?
Usually it takes about 3 weeks after we get it all submitted. We're gonna try and submit it around May 8th or 10th. So last year, we got it back just before the end of the school year. So we had a chance to start it.
Okay. So you might get it back by the 30th and they won't have to remember all that stuff over the summer.
Any other comments? Karen?
Lori,
No.
Rick,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Tom,
No.
Brett,
No,
Chad,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
Okay, moving on to. My computer's freaking out right now, you guys. Fiscal year F. Okay, staffing plan, 24 staffing plan. We need a motion.
Move to approve the staffing plan.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Questions?
Exciting to have staff.
Mhm. All right, Karen?
Rick,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Brett,
yes,
Chad,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes. Item G is the CPA agreement. I need a motion.
motion to approve CP agreement with total package 4% increase or $1.89 on the base amount for the 2023-2024 budget.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion or comments or questions? Karen?
Bridget,
Yes.
Tom,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes,
Chad,
Yes.
Whitney,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Rick,
Yes.
Very good. Okay, moving on to section 3. Topics for discussion. We're looking at the superintendent's report. Dr. Hlubnik.
Thanks. Some highlights from the last month. Since our last report, we've had 2 board visits, actually, Centennial and Willowbrook. Both of those are great chances to learn about all the things happening in those two buildings, and we got a chance to see it for ourselves in the classrooms. Next up is Altoona on April 25th, and then there's just Clay, and we'll have fit all buildings this school year. Some great news, graduation rates have been released across the state of Iowa since we last met. For Southeast Polk, our graduation rate, 912 graduation rate, for the 21-22 senior class was 95.53%. That was an increase from the year before. The state of Iowa actually slipped a little bit to 89.9%. Still highest in the Midwest, which is traditionally the highest in the country, but we don't have national data yet. Great news on graduation rate. Right before spring break, our junior high students had their college and career day. Numerous guest speakers, community members, local businesses, colleges, local leaders from places like Des Moines University, DMAC, William Penn, WHO TV, the Altoona Police Department, DZ, plumbers, the steam fitters, electricians, you name it. It was a really great chance for students to learn more about the possibilities for them in the future. Our 23-24 registration process is now open for all students, up and running fully. It's definitely keeping our registrar, Deb Starcevich, very busy as we continue to prepare for the 23-24 school year. Our construction technology course, in partnership with the Carpenters Union 106 in Altoona, has been officially designated by the Iowa Department of Labor as a quality pre-apprenticeship program. That opens the door for our students to have direct entry into the full apprenticeship program and a head start in several other different ways on career placement. So that's a really big deal and the result of a lot of good partnership and work. Next Friday, the 7th of April, is the Bill Birch Scholarship and Recognition Breakfast. Always a fun morning and a sure sign of spring and a kickoff of the student year-end events. It begins at that point. So one final thing, we did receive today our Title I allocations for the 23-24 school year. And there's been a major increase in funding for us, which is more really good news. It will allow us to serve more buildings with Title I services. And so kind of next steps coming up will be an amended kind of that phase 2 of the staffing plan, which will include some of that where that funding comes directly from the Title I allocation. So look forward to that next month.
Good.
Thanks.
Thank you. Moving on to the district auction.
Good evening, members of the board. Come back to you again this year to bring forward the need for another auction that we've had annually. That would consist of mainly office furniture, unwanted, needed supplies and different fixtures, as well as some equipment that we need replaced, a couple vehicles. So it's pretty much a standard auction like we've had the years past. It's just the proper way to dispose of it.
What do you get to do with the money that you raise?
Goes in my budget.
Does it?
Mhm.
Okay, I was like, I thought you were like gonna pull my leg or something here.
I don't know.
Is there a date set for it, Gary?
I'd like to tentatively look at the first Saturday in June.
In June.
Does this allow us to clean out the old district office?
Yes, which is almost empty now.
Nice.
Any of-
Windows, doors,
Pardon me?
said windows, doors, carpet.
No.
It's gonna be a puff of smoke. I'm sure.
Traffic areas are in the carpet pretty good.
I think it's a great event.
That'd be great. Everybody's welcome to come and buy all you want.
Filing cabinets, chairs.
Filing cabinets, chairs, some desks. A little bit of everything, 3 notebooks
Can't have enough of those.
Yeah.
Every year.
every year.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank
This will
you.
come back for approval on the 13th.
Mr. McCom with the monthly financials.
Just to dovetail off the auction that Garrett just mentioned, with the district office being demoed here and scheduled for May, there's that portable building you guys approved last board meeting, I think, to have auctioned off. So that's going to go on a site called Gov Deals. We'll do some linking to some of the auction site there with Ms. Christensen. It goes on live on Monday, 10 o'clock.
What do you think that'll raise?
It's going to be money received rather than money spent on the demo of the portable.
Okay.
Monthly financials. Nothing real remarkable difference from January. General fund revenues are up 6.2%. Happens to be the same percent revenues up for all funds. Expenditures in the general fund up 5.1%. Expenditures are up 17.5% all funds, mainly due to construction or capital projects activity. Just a few things to point out regarding the monthly financials. Interest income, I know I've been barking about this, but it's a real thing right now. A general fund, we have about $180,000 in interest through February, and all funds just short of $950,000. So if you think about $180,000, that's 2 teachers per year. That's real money to us, right? So hopefully the interest, I know there's some things going on in the market and the feds and still supply shock and demand shock going on, but hopefully we can still see the interest the overnight rate go up for us. Our bank right now is offering, we just went up again beginning of March, so it's at 4.1%. So a pretty good overnight rate. Tuition went out. If you saw the narrative, we did find the fix within tuition, so you'll see that come back down. As I mentioned, the narrative tuition as far as open enrolled students that we receive money for should be about what it was last year. So not real big change as far as numbers going in and out. Break fix insurance. Last year, we got pretty big dollars through technology departments and other break fix things going on. This year, not as high, but still that is money received in the general fund, spent premiums paid out of management fund. And finally, ESSER funds, we'll continue to look at how to spend those funds down. Again, as I mentioned before, we'll look to spend every penny of that money through September 2024. So continue to look for those things. We will have continued updates on the ESSER funds as we go forward as well. Any additional questions regarding the monthly financials? Okay.
Okay. Next up, 2020 or 2023-24 budget discussion, part 3.
Part 3. At your place settings and in the board pack electronically, and Mr. Kurth has this up on screen. Part 3, just a few updates to the budget for 2024. Again, the overall theme for the budget is just to establish a tax rate. For this year, it's May 1st to be done. We are still going by the April 13th date or April 13th board meeting for us. That will be done at that time. Big picture look, the expenditures within that year 24 are obviously fluid, right? As we start looking at what we do for next year when it comes to student enrollment. District funds, the ones that are asterisked, affect our tax levy rate. A little bit of an overview. This is a revision. The last one you saw on the left-hand side is where we were based on new money. The one on the right-hand side, based on some new developments, we're pretty much right there flat with new money and what we plan to spend for next year. Tentative tax rate, this changed slightly as far as the breakup between the different types of funds. But we're still staying at the overall 15.44256 tax rate that we've had for the past 3 years. The change was due to, again, the state error with the property tax valuation issues. That was fixed, and there was a small calculation on the budget website from the Department of Management. But again, for us, 1544 on the tax rate. Just to show, I got a little bit more updates from metro area schools regarding their tax rates. We are right there on the lower end of the tax rate scale. I want to point out Johnston schools, if you see that, down $5. They had a bunch of debt come off. So
the new
they
high school, you think, or what?
that they prepaid all that. So when the interest rates were good, they collected that money for property taxes and paid that off. So they fell quite a bit from an overall tax rate perspective. That was the main driver for them. So I hate to see if they need to raise that tax later on, but hopefully they'll be okay. These people are all good friends of mine, so. A couple things I wanted to talk further about regarding budget and also kind of plan use of things within our general fund mainly. The flexibility account, I've talked about that a little bit in the past. The flexibility account is a subset within our general fund, allowing us to transfer monies that we don't use currently, year-end balances for certain things that you see up there, into what we call a flexibility account for the purpose of general fund purposes, any general fund revenues, general fund purpose that we have. The board approves spending from that flexibility account, so I'll bring to you what that might look like, what we spend that on. But it also, there's a resolution that says we're gonna designate XYZ dollars from those different pockets of money that we have here based on categorical funding. And that's what we would transfer to the flex fund. I want to wait to see where we kind of look to as far as the end of FY23 before I make any sort of recommendations for dollar amounts. I wanted to give you big picture wise categorical funds. Again, these are specific to what was listed previously. Our June 30, 2022 ending balance, so last June, any balance, and then the 3-year average for those particular funds. Universal preschool, we spend completely. One of the things as part of transferring the flexibility account is that to make sure that we have spent the money to what we intended to originally and have satisfied those purposes. So really the things that we've done needed to do with, for example, PD dollars, we've done, and then we can certainly transfer those funds over if the board chooses to. One of the categorical funds that we have is teacher mentoring. That hasn't been funded since 2018, I believe, but we use that a little bit at a time, providing a little bit of stipend to our junior high. I forgot Ms. Capper's position over the junior high to do some teach mentoring. Well, we won't take all those monies, all these pots of money. We'll do conservative looks at how much to transfer from the flex fund for general purposes.
The homeschool assistance, part of the staffing plan, I think, was to add another staff
Correct,
member for that.
correct.
So
Yep.
would that probably would stay in a
Correct.
categorical
Yep.
fund?
Yep, I'm just giving you the balances here just to give you a reference point, and then as we talk more dollars specific to the flexibility account transfers, we'll bring this back up to share with you as well.
Okay.
The other piece of it is committed fund balance. So of the general fund, we have different categoricals within our fund balance. We have prepaids, we have reserves restricted funds, which are the things that you saw, but some of the things we saw before that are grant restricted based on the state or federal dollars. We have assigned fund balances, and now I want to introduce something called committed fund balance. And the reason is our solvency ratio has been good. We have cash, but we're kind of limited to where we can levy for cash reserve. We want to keep the cash level up there just in case something happens with enrollments. But also it's got to be it's a good balance between what our solvency ratio is, because we need to keep that solvency ratio up for things like bonding, right? To keep those bond ratings up there, but also to be able to have some capacity to levy for cash as we need it. So this requires an annual board resolution as we commit those funds, and kind of show you a balance of the unassigned and assigned fund balances that sits in the general fund right now. Those are the dollar amounts based on going back to 2018 to last year, and then the solvency ratios. I want to keep this around at least 15%, 15 to 20% of the solvency ratios. So just kind of looking at the play between how much we can commit and still maintain solvency ratio. How committed funds plays into this ratio is part of the general fund balance. If we commit that, that takes away from the numerator that calculates the solvency ratio. So indirect inverse relationship, as we commit fund balance, the solvency ratio goes down if everything else held constant. So I'll play with the numbers calculations and make a determination of what we want to use for committed funds. Some of the use for committed funds, as we talk about instruction materials, curriculum adoptions, we have a new school opening up in 24-25, so additional staffing could be part of those committed funds. And then classroom furniture, not only when it comes to, so the projects that we have now, the 6-7 building furniture, we have some budgets attached to that, and we're going to pay for those from the sales tax or the saved dollars. This is classroom furniture. Gosh, I think I've gotten more requests for furniture within our existing buildings than I have any other year. So just kind of building something in there to say, okay, if we need something from a classroom perspective, let's start getting that kind of in a cyclical basis to have a pot of money at least available to them for that. At a particular school this week alone, lunchroom tables was one of the topics. I don't, 12 tables, each table is about $3,000 a piece. So I know, Mr. Nave, I know, I did the same thing. So about $35,000 to outfit one of the elementary schools for new tables, and it's needed, right? It's just needed. So those are the things I wanted to discuss today with the budget. Come April 13th, we'll have the public hearing for the budget and the board will officially adopt that budget.
We need to set up a rolling lunchroom schedule like we have roofs
Yeah,
and school
could.
buses,
yes, we could.
instead of doing everyone's tables all at once.
I'm thinking high school welding.
Right,
There we
right.
go.
There you
Those
go.
kids to work.
Just something to think about.
Yes. Any other questions regarding the budget update?
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think I have one more up here.
Oh, yes, you do.
You want that? Student fees, I believe, is the next one. Student fees, Jason, can you bring that up on screen, please? Well, I know I didn't say that. 23, 24. Regarding a couple different fees, everything's staying the same. I talked to Dan. I know I mentioned, I got a question about this from one of the board members. As far as transportation fees, those will stay the same. I mentioned the narrative, they may have changed. With the increasing costs of diesel fuel, us Southeast Polk being on the lower end of transportation fees, I thought maybe we would. We're not going to this year. Parking tag fees at the high school specifically. Based on a review at a different metro area school, parking tag fees, we can charge based on the supply cost of the actual tag. So we're going to take away the $30 fee or the $15 per semester and just charge $5 for those fees going forward at the high school. And then the very bottom of the student fee list, as we look at the food service spot, that's normally something we talk about because that's driven by the Department of Education. According to Ms. Ahern, Director Ahern, we are keeping all meals the same. So no changes within our school programs as far as the student fees. The one thing that is driven directly by DE and designated to us is the adult lunch price. So that may change still as we get that information from the Department of Education. Any questions regarding student fees? Student fees.
No fees to approve, just approve the standard fees next meeting.
Correct.
Okay.
Explain that $30 to 5, so it was $30 a semester.
It was $15 semester prior.
15.
Yeah, and the replacement tags were $5 supply cost for those tags. So I need to take that fee away and just charge for the tag itself. So it'll be $5 per student. If you lose it, it's still $5. You get a new tag.
Okay, so it is cheaper.
Less expensive for the students, correct?
Unless there's a student that loses it all the time,
Yeah, well, yeah. Sounds like a parent management issue.
probably.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments for the good of the cause?